Howdy do, my name's Amethyst, and with Doctor Who being as long running as it is, it seemed inevitable that it would get a few spin-offs, and I'm here to talk about all of them, which isn't a lot, but the journey sure is interesting. So in celebration of Doctor Who's 60th anniversary, let's look back at the various attempts to widen the world of the time-travelling Time Lord and see how they hold up. To start things off, we're going all the way back to 1981, when a pilot for a potential series starring Elizabeth Sladen and John Leeson, reprising their respective roles as Sarah Jane Smith and K9, aired in December. The series unfortunately was never picked up, but it did leave an impact for the future of both title characters, so I call it a win. Anyway, in this pilot, titled A Girl's Best Friend, Sarah Jane Smith attempts to visit her aunt, only to find out that she's away, but she finds a mysterious metal box that contains a gift from the Doctor, K9 Mark III, which ultimately leads into an investigation surrounding Coven activity. If you've seen any classic Doctor Who, expect an identical viewing experience with the same low-budget cheesiness that has charmed millions, except this time there's no time travelling or world hopping, which kinda makes things interesting for the time. With that said, the plot of the episode is very gripping. Right from the beginning, the main conflict is surrounded in mystery, and it keeps on piling up until the epic conclusion. But what really won me over is Sarah Jane's instantly endearing chemistry with the Tin Dog. The show may have not carried on, but the pair bounce off each other so well, you instantly want to see more of them, and thanks to later appearances, this no longer feels like a lost opportunity. Speaking of lost opportunities, the episode introduces Brandon, the young prodigal genius who's set up to be Sarah Jane's companion of the series, and I think he has potential to be on par with all of the Doctor's iconic companions, but due to the show not being picked up, we don't see him again, so we never know what could have been. Overall, K9 and Company is a solid first attempt at a spin-off that may have not had its chance to flourish, but it still feels worthy of the Doctor Who lineage. Now it's time to jump to the 2000s, and after introducing it in Season 2 of Doctor Who, Russell T Davies and Julie Gardner were quick to expand Torchwood into its own TV show, and it was going to be headlined by Captain Jack Harkness, and for the adults only. The best way to describe the show would be through eras, because the various quality shifts are quite noticeable. The first two seasons most definitely feel like a British Black Ops show, which gives it a lot of charm, but since the crew behind Doctor Who worked on it, it gives off the vibes that they got carried away with the post-Watershed time slot. Not only do we have lots of blood and violence, it also has a horny sense of humour, to the point where episode 2 has a body-snatching alien parasite who kills people by feeding off their orgasmic energy. Even though this era is not perfect in the slightest, it still pulled off some emotionally compelling drama, and through it, we got some of the best moments of sci-fi television I've ever seen. Luckily, a lot of the characters are likeable and memorable. Captain Jack Harkness is his usual cheeky self, but the show further fleshes him out by showing fragments of his past, and they are genuinely interesting. The rest of the team, like Toshiko and Yanto, are also wonderful additions to the Whoniverse, and the show's other lead protagonist, Gwen Cooper, might possibly be one of the greatest female leads of all time. She's hardcore and no-nonsense, but also soft and kind-hearted. But there are aspects relating to the characters that infuriated me. I hated how much Reese, Gwen's boyfriend, got hurt by all the secrets that came with the job, and I really did not like Owen Harper. I know that he goes through some character development, but I did not warm up to his sleazy ladies' man personality. Anyway, after an explosive second season finale, things changed in 2009 with the release of Children of Earth, a 5-episode miniseries where Torchwood is pushed to their limits. Not only is there an extraterrestrial threat that is putting all of Earth's children in danger, the British government is out to destroy our heroes, and the action on both sides never stops, resulting in one of the most phenomenal sci-fi events in all of TV. In fact, watching it after 2020 makes the political drama even more gripping, because how government reactions to the ongoing crisis draw a lot of scary parallels to the COVID-19 pandemic. Unfortunately, my high praises end here, because in 2011, the BBC partnered up with the American network Starz to release Miracle Day, the worst season of Torchwood, and the worst thing to ever come from the Doctor Who revival. The main reason I say this is because a lot of Torchwood's identity is missing from this event, making the whole season feel like a generic 24 clone, and watching it back to back with the previous seasons makes it even more obvious. It also doesn't help that there's no aliens at all, and we have to wait for something the slightest bit extraterrestrial in the finale. What makes things even worse is the inclusion of the worst character in the entire show, Oswald Danes. Let's just say that having a rapist/pedophile/murderer as a prominent character made me severely uncomfortable, especially when he started getting worshipped by cultists. But is there anything good Miracle Day has to offer? By episode 4, things do sort of pick up with some momentum, mainly by introducing some interesting political drama surrounding the miracle that often gets intense and heavily messed up. Overall, Torchwood is a spin-off I highly recommend to fans of the RTD era Doctor Who. Just don't be prepared to enjoy everything it has to offer. Whenever I reflect on my childhood as a Doctor Who fan, sometimes I feel spoilt and entitled, because not only did I hop on the bandwagon of one of the greatest sci-fi shows during its best years, there was another show airing around that time that became one of the biggest successes the BBC ever had, and one of the shows that defines my own childhood. That show in particular is the Sarah Jane Adventures, and years later as an adult, I still love this show. The basic premise is that Sarah Jane Smith investigates alien phenomena in Ealing, London, alongside her new teenage companions. It may sound odd at first, but it works extraordinarily well, and it proves to be perfect for a kid-friendly spin-off, whilst capturing the spirit of its parent show effortlessly. With the exception of the pilot, each story is told in 2 episodes each, and as a result, each story is well-paced, and they always provide non-stop thrills, emotional punches, and hilarious comedy. Hell, I'd even go as far as to say that this show makes investigative journalism look cool and exciting. In fact, throughout these adventures, Sarah Jane stands by the Doctor's philosophies of solving conflicts without violence, and most of the time, it works, with very few of these adventures ending with the death of an alien antagonist. But what makes these stories even better is that they do not dumb things down because of it airing on a children's TV network. This show covers many heavy subjects like divorce, anxiety, homelessness, and a runaway parent whose actions have severely damaging consequences. But the very best thing about this show is easily the characters, without a doubt. Whether they're teenagers, fully grown adults, or alien lifeforms, all of the actors bring their A-game, resulting in a large cast of lovable protagonists who bounce off each other with some believable chemistry, as well as displaying their own distinct three-dimensional personalities that make them all feel fleshed out, and some memorable alien lifeforms that can vary from the sympathetic to the deadly. In fact, one such foe, the Trickster, easily stands as the show's best villain and one of the greatest monsters in all of the Whoniverse. I'd even go as far as to say that the show manages to be great enough to make children invested without wishing the Doctor was here, but that didn't stop the 3rd and 4th seasons from having the Time Lord crossover, and let me tell you, if you were a child who loved both shows in 2009, this was a hyped TV event, and it did not disappoint. To tell you the truth, I can't think of anything bad to say about the show. The only bad thing I can say was that it ended way too soon, and that wasn't its own fault. On 19th of April 2011, Sarah Jane's actress, Elizabeth Sladen, passed away from pancreatic cancer, and when that became headline news, I knew that the show would never have a chance to continue without her, and while 6 episodes of the 5th season released on October that year, it left many plot points unresolved. Not even adapting one of the unused stories into Russell T Davies' CBBC series Wizard vs. Aliens could lessen the bittersweet feeling that fans are feeling. But things are currently looking bright for the Sarah Jane Adventures. Whilst we're never getting another season, a tribute video written by Russell T Davies and starring most of the cast, as well as 2 editions from the classic era Doctor Who, released on the 19th of April 2020 to mark the 9th anniversary of Elizabeth's death. And let me tell you, if you're a long-time fan, you will tear up. As if that wasn't enough, Big Finish released an audio drama in 2023 that carries on the adventures of Sarah Jane's teenage companions, with a sequel set for December, and just now, in November, Clyde Langer, one of the teen characters, returned in the BBC iPlayer series Tales of the TARDIS. Overall, the Sarah Jane Adventures is a triumph for children's TV, and possibly the best spin-off Doctor Who has ever had. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if hardcore Doctor Who fans react to this part of the video with befuddlement and confusion. Anyway, in order to explain what K9 is, it is a short-lived spin-off series produced in Australia and marks the second Doctor Who media not produced by the BBC after the 1996 TV movie, and it centres on the further adventures of the Tin Dog, alongside a professor and 3 teens, who battle against aliens and the corrupt law enforcement called the Department. First of all, I want to address the elephant in the room that is K9's redesign, because it determines whether a Whovian will be loyal to the show or not. While I will say that K9 is one of those robot characters so iconic that redesigning him feels like blasphemy, I will admit that the design they went with here does look pretty slick, and John Leeson reprising the role once more helps maintain the recognisable personality, even if he's been given amnesia, as a way to avoid any mentions of the Doctor. However, K9 himself doesn't feel like the main character of his own show. Instead, he's part of an ensemble of humans who are a bit of a mixed bag. The teens are the weakest characters in my opinion. Starkey is somewhat unremarkable despite his likability, Georgie is admirably headstrong, and Darius is quite annoying. I don't hate them, but their acting felt a little flat in my opinion. It especially doesn't help that the actors deliver their lines with some very unconvincing British accents that fail to hide their natural Australian dialect. However, the adults are the strongest human characters. Professor Alistair Griffin offers a lot of tragic layers, yet manages to feel lovable, and June Turner surprisingly subverted a cliched overbearing mother archetype and her position in the department, whilst its higher-ups, Inspector Drake and Inspector Thorne, are very slimy and heartless villains. When it comes to the general storytelling, it follows a pretty straightforward approach that often flip-flops between standalone alien encounters and a serialized arc that gave the overall series a bit of momentum. However, the tone is all over the place. On one hand, the show is not afraid to delve into subject matters that are really dark and heavily political, but on another hand, it has a goofy sense of humour that felt like it was trying too hard to appeal to kids. The last thing I want to praise is that its futuristic London setting is highly immersive, offering a lot of interesting details that made me want to learn more about it, especially since the other spin-offs usually settle for the present day. Overall, K9 is a semi-decent show with tonal hiccups and a lot of good ideas, so I'd recommend Whovians give it a shot if they know what they're in for. 2016 was a year that started a pretty annoying habit for Doctor Who, where we wouldn't get any new season for an entire year, with the exception of the annual Christmas special. But 2016 did offer something else to keep Whovians entertained during this hiatus, and that offering was a new spin-off set in Coal Hill, a school that plays a huge significance in Doctor Who's history, created by the best-selling author Patrick Ness, whose literary work I strongly recommend by the way. Anyway, Class is a show about a group of unassuming teenagers and a tough-as-nails teacher who wind up involved with multiple alien incidents caused by a reality tear in their own school. In other words, it's kind of like a fusion of Torchwood and the Sarah Jane Adventures, except with a lot of angst and drama, which is frequently gripping. One thing Patrick Ness is really good at is capturing the complex emotions young people deal with, and it's really good in this show, making me understand and sympathize with all of its young leads. I especially loved that each of them had their own struggles, like April trying to maintain a tough yet kind personality after a traumatic car accident, Matthias being disowned by his family for being gay, and Charlie being a fish-out-of-water alien who survived a massacre on his home planet. All of these arcs, including the ones I didn't mention, gel together really well, and those praises also apply to the two romantic pairings, which offer an interesting mix of connectivity, angst, and healthiness. But the show also shines in its alien crises, whether it be one-off invasions like the Dragon Tattoo or the Night Visitors, or the recurring threats that is the Shadow Kid, or a downright ruthless, as well as offer some world-building of their own, and these sci-fi episodes create a very effective horror atmosphere that feels right at home in Doctor Who. Sadly, this show wasn't a big hit when it released, and unfortunately, it got an immediate cancellation, which resulted in a lot of loose ends that haven't been answered. I don't know if it was due to a lack of marketing from the BBC, but maybe releasing the show exclusively on BBC iPlayer was a bad idea, especially since not all TVs are capable of accessing it. Overall, Class may have been short-lived, this is a criminally underrated hidden gem that I strongly recommend to all Whovians. And that is pretty much all I have to say about the Doctor Who spin-offs. Have you seen these shows? Have you ever heard of them? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.